This is the Millennials in Multifamily podcast, brought to you by Kronos Investment Partners. We interview industry experts to unlock key information that will help young professionals break into the multifamily world in order to create long-term and short-term wealth. If you enjoyed the show, please head over to iTunes and leave a rating and written review so we can reach more listeners.
Collin Schwartz, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the Millennials in Multifamily podcast. Could you just go give our listeners a little bit more into your background and how you got into the real estate investing business?
John, thank you so much for having me here. Thank you, Fritz. Honor to be here. So I'll go from kind of, the 20,000 foot view. Used to live in New Mexico, graduated from there, got my bachelor's, moved out to Omaha, Nebraska. So if you guys like corn, flat land, this is where I'm at. But no, I found a lot of opportunities out here. I was working in the retail grocery industry for about 7 years, up until about 28. Then I moved into the very attractive world of that 9 to 5 solid paycheck world, where you're getting close to 6 figures, you're sitting at a desk, everything's good, and you're planning for retirement. I was working in IT. I was a project manager working in insurance. Then it was January 1st, 2017, over a friend's recommendation, I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I basically wanted to hit my head up against the wall of why I had not read this book before and everything I could have done with it, because I was basically doing everything the opposite. I was definitely much living like poor dad. So immediately I go back to work, and then they state that they're, cutting extra paid time off, etc. Cool. That's extra motivation. So I devoted pretty much every hour after that into studying real estate. At the time, I had a 2-year-old. She's now almost 5, and another one on the way. So I realized that if I wanted to gain my life back, this seemed like the right process. I did have some savings, which I was just investing in the stock market, because that's what everybody does, and that's going to be your answer when you're 65. So I started reaching out, kind of started doing everything I possibly could to connect. I came in a lot of roadblocks right away as a newbie. Lots of people are looking for 8 caps with 10 to 15% cash on cash return, live off your residual income. So that I was getting a lot of roadblocks with that. I decided one weekend, it was during the playoffs. I think the Denver Broncos were in it. They probably weren't, but I probably wanted them to be in it. So I sat down and I wrote 191 letters to not only absentee owners, but multifamily owners from 2 to 20 units. So I hand wrote those. I said, I'm not going to pay anybody to do this, because the wife's going to be like, you're crazy. Why are you paying somebody to do this? And I'm just like, I'm going to take the bull by the horns. I'm going to do it. It's a weekend. I can grab a beer, sit here, watch football, write letters. So it was about 2 days straight. I sent out those letters. I got about 6 deals from it. One of them I recently just sold for a large profit. I bought it at 98,000, sold it for 240. It was a beast of a project, but it was a duplex. So kind of fast forward, right now I have about 400 to 420 rental units built on a partnership model. So it's me and mainly one partner, but I do have some other partners that play a lot of significant value. So we're equal equity. We may have 2-3 people into the deal. Just completed a syndication down in Kansas City, Missouri of 52 units. I also started a property management company. I started property managing at the beginning, and basically it was Collin Schwartz, the landlord. And then I realized after a while that was going to get old. So I named my company Bricktown Management. So now we're actually a company. We have employees, and we actually have some systems. We're still working on those. We strive on customer service. So that's our focus. We manage most of our portfolio. The one down in Kansas City, we don't. And then a 87 unit project in Omaha, I do not manage either. And then also partner on Park Ave Capital with my partner, Chris Pomerleau. This is our basically syndication business. He is syndication partnership business. Him and I are gross owners on most of the properties that I own.
Okay, so from 0 units in 2017 to 420 units in 2020, how did you scale so quickly?
It's kind of funny, and it's one of those things. And now that we're in 2020, what's today? It's almost May 1st. COVID-19 is going around, and you kind of see the exponential curve of sickness is going up. It's a bad analogy, but I also put that as like real estate can be very exponential. The first year I had 25 units. The next year I had 92 units. The end of last year I had about 300, and now I'm at about 400. I think if you can create a strong basis and processes that you can get there, and it starts with partnerships. I would be nowhere without any of my partnerships. They continue to provide value as I provide value to them. I run the property management side. I take care of our assets. They're out finding deals. At the beginning, you're a lone wolf. You're out there looking for the deals. You're having to figure out financing. You're having to figure out how to manage the deals. You're having to do everything. So your concentration and just like the source of your time is in so many areas, and you're having to do all the paperwork. You're having to do the bookkeeping. So you can't scale that big. Once you get good partners and build up a good team, allows the scalability. I will say some of the biggest things that have helped is starting a meetup. If there's anybody out there wanting to get started, I know we can't get together right now. However, do a podcast, do Zoom calls, but starting a meetup was, I don't have many good ideas, ask my wife, but that was probably the best one that I had. And it doesn't have to be complicated. We started it at a fourplex I was remodeling, and I said, hey guys, do you guys want to pick up a 6-pack? Come over here. I'm going to walk you through the process of what I'm doing, and I want your feedback. And it was just like a random Facebook post, and about a dozen people showed up. Then the next one was 30 people. Then we actually found a spot. It was 50 people. And by the end, it was about 120 people with like 1,200 members in our group. So it's definitely unfortunate that COVID hit for about 1,000 different reasons. But it was still good to build that basis. And I know not only personally, but a lot of people there gained a lot of value from it and a lot of partnerships created. So we can do a lot, but we can do a lot more together.
So the one thing I'm still unclear of, so you found a good team, but that takes a lot of money to buy a couple hundred units in 3 years. And you said you had some savings from your job, but that's not going to get you 420 units. Was the meetup instrumental in your ability to raise money?
So I've been meaning to write all the different ways of creative financing down that I've done. So it initially started on a line of credit, as well as some savings. So I was using my home equity line of credit and moving into that. And that was 25 units. After that, I quickly ran out of money. There's no more money left. So what I started doing is the off-market deals I would find, I would add acquisition fees to. Okay, that can start covering a portion of my down payment. Now we've done a lot of different things. So one technique that I found really, really effective, besides just private money at a certain percentage rate, is bringing in equity partners. But say a deal is $1 million and you need $200,000 to close. That partner is going to bring all $200,000, but $100,000 of that is going to be a loan to me. And that $100,000 I'm going to invest as equity. And on the refinance portion, I am going to pay that back. I am paying interest-only payments. And then they are still getting partners. They're still getting a return on their actual money lent, but they're also getting equity into the project. So it's kind of an interesting balance between it's a modified syndication, I guess. You're actually partners. You have access to the bank accounts and everything, but some of it is done as a loan. Sometimes it's leveraged against another property. Sometimes it's not. I'm paying them, X% return of 6%. They're getting monthly interest only payments, but they also own equity in the property. And at the end of the project or the end of the reposition period, they get refinanced. They get all their money back, and I still own my portion of the project in there. And for them, they're getting the return. They have the equity, and I've done the work. So that is a technique that I haven't heard spoken about a lot. So I think that's something that people are missing. That when you go to a syndication model, which we have just done when it went successfully, but people see their money getting diluted. They're still getting a preferred return. This is just a different way to structure it. We've also done private capital, and honestly, lots of it is because of having a property management company and making a lot of relationships with bankers. I've been able to refinance out of deals very, very quickly, and for 100 to 300% of the initial capital, and being able to reinvest that. That's kind of the basis.
Yeah, I've never heard of that strategy before, but that's awesome.
I need to coin it.
Yeah.
It's like getting Schwartz.
That's right.
Yeah. No, you do need to coin that. So then you said you just did a syndication on a 52 unit in Kansas City, right?
Yep. Kansas City, Missouri. That's correct.
So can you talk about some of the other pros and cons? Why didn't you just keep doing that strategy? I would say that's some form of a joint venture, right? With the loan.
Yeah, that's correct. So a syndication, you actually have to do a 506B or a 506C. Costs vary, but we spent, about $15,000 to create that. The goal of that, or I guess the differentiation in a partnership, we're trying to have less partners in it. So if it's $1 million raise and everybody can bring $250,000, that's great. We can keep it as that. The syndication was, there's been a lot of people that want to invest in real estate, but don't want to invest $250,000, but also want constant returns. So if they can invest $50,000 and be completely passive, and they have the outline of a preferred return, it provides a lot of benefit to them. So that's why we went for that route. We were also, we were just wanted to see how it would go. It became about time where we had enough investors of, the non-6-figure amount that wanted to invest. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it just seemed like the right move. There's definitely a lot of legal hurdles and things you need to be aware of. You need to find a really good attorney. There's certain things that you need to follow, certain things that you have to say. When you are finding investors, you also have to be careful on, are you promoting to it? How does that work? Because you're having to either find accredited or sophisticated investors between the 506C, 506B. So yeah, it was just another strategy. We found a good deal. We had a lot of investors that wanted to invest, a relatively smaller amount of capital into a project. So we saw this as a good fit.
So with your partnership model, are you still doing a preferred return? Or because I know a lot of syndications can get out of whack because the preferred return is just too high for the project.
Yeah, so our syndication, we are doing a preferred return. For partnership models, there's no preferred return. We're partners. My dollar's as good as your dollars. Besides the promissory note that might come in, but that's totally separate. That's basically a way for us to get equity. That's debt. But yeah, no, just the syndication, we're doing a preferred return. Everything else, we're partners. We're here in it together. You have access, to the bank account. We are working together. We're rowing the same ship.
So with the partnership model, it sounds pretty paramount that you're able to refinance at your partners, right? To repay your loan.
So yes, that is correct. Especially so lots of them we have been able to roll refinance cash into. Some of them we've used, private money, et cetera. But yeah, absolutely. It's important that you operate the building as you've projected and refinance out.
So for that model though, does it require a bit of a heavier lift where you can force appreciation? Like I know with a lot of syndications, especially when it's your first one or second one, operators will go in with a lighter value add, raise rents a little bit, and maybe decrease some of the expenses, but that's not going to refi all of the initial investor capital out. Whereas with the partnership model, you have to give them all of their money back. So it sounds like you'd have to increase the net operating income by a lot.
That's correct. And also we always put in a margin of error. Like if we refinance 70%, obviously we have that built in of our own capital to pay them back. And we also have terms in there. Well, hey, if we need to extend this for another 12 months, et cetera, we have those options in there because, if COVID-19 happens and banking regulations and things change, at a fly. But yeah, they are heavy lifts. I mean, I would say most of our projects, we go through 50%. We go through 50% turns, sometimes even more, in which we are doing heavy lifts. So our vacancies get incredibly high. And then our differential between what the rent is to what the rent becomes very high as well. One of the big areas that we find where to raise rent besides just raising rent is utility bill backs. So there's a lot of 1960s buildings we buy. And during that time, it was gas, water, sewer was linked into the building and residents aren't paying for that. So what we do, and landlords end up footing the bill and they're just like, it's just part of the expense. I'm like, that doesn't make too much sense to me. That is a bill that people are utilizing and people need to be aware of. So we average that out through the year, we divide it by whatever the unit size is, and we add it to the rent as like a utility income bill back. Mm-hmm. And just that alone and like a $25 to $50 raise on say a $650 rental, that is enough to get 100%, if not more, of your money back. At least it was 2 months ago. I don't want to speak right now because I know kind of Freddie and Fannie are frozen for a little bit, as well as some local lenders. They're still working, but yeah, it's just identifying those operators that have been operating for 20 years and never heard to bill back for something like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. $50 on a $650 rent. That's almost a 10% bump right there without actually even increasing the rent.
One other thing, and I wish I would have started doing this earlier, was adding a common area fee. So what the common area fee is, I kind of started looking through my expenses of like, hey, we're cleaning these hallways and we're putting extra, we are 100% customer service focused. Like that is it. That's what you need to be. We are servicing our customers. And we put a lot of effort in cleaning the building, taking care of landscaping, taking care of just anything like that, picking up trash, et cetera. Like, well, why aren't we adding a common area maintenance fee? We are taking care of these things above and beyond everybody else. So we're adding fees between $12 and $20 a month. And if you can multiply that across 400 units, I don't have a calculator in front of me, but it's $1 million of, value add right there. It is a massive value add. So just implementing those little things and proving that you're adding value. That's the one thing. If you go into an apartment complex and you don't add value and you're just like, hey, you're not paying enough, I don't care about you, give me your money, and you're paying too little, you're not going to do well. You're going to see a lot of turnover. But if you can go through and show that you care, bring in some processes and provide value to those individuals, very few people, the people that balk about the $50 to $100 rent increase, they don't want to be there regardless. They don't care about service. They are looking for a different option. So just taking care of those that you're hoping will take care of you is one of the most important things.
So could you dive a little deeper when you say implementing processes and adding value? What does that mean besides, renovating units and bumping rents?
Yeah. So one of the most important things, and we just went through this on a 48 unit. So it went through 3 property management companies and before we bought it and took it over. And it had a lot of negative feedback when everybody knew that we now took it over and was managing it. They're like, oh, great, another property management company, another thing screwed up, because we were missing things at first because they were already deferred. The thing is, what we did is day one, you send out an introductory letter. You say, thank you so much. You're providing them a lot of info. We provide magnets for all of our residents. So we create a magnet that has our phone number on it that says, we're just trying to be as transparent in front of them as possible. Mm-hmm. Immediately, what we do is we clean up the interiors and exteriors. We're going to start painting. We're going to start taking care of things. We are also, in our initial letter, asking for residents to reach out to us for any issues. So we are going to say, hey, we are here. We are looking for deferred maintenance items, any emergency issues. If you have those, please reach out to us immediately so we can take care of those items. That's initial. Regardless, we saw a lot of turnover. It was just people were frustrated with previous, and no matter what, within the initial month or two, you're going to struggle. You're still never going to be the good guy because they know their rent's going to be raised. They know that you're going in there as a landlord and from their previous experiences. However, after these couple months, we have rented, or we have remodeled about a dozen units. People see what those remodels look like because we show them. People move over to those remodels. We're still increasing rents and we are creating a utility bill back, but now the hallways are clean. Now there's no dog poop out in the yard. Now the trash is getting cleaned up and we are super attentive. I put it as a goal for us to get back to residents within an hour. If it was my goal, and without overburdening my team, I'd like it in 5 minutes. And sometimes we do. Sometimes we have an issue fixed within 20 minutes. People want to be heard and people want to be taken care of. And I think this is an art that is just so far gone, where people are just real estate. Add this, do that, make money, call it good. This is a people sport. This is a people sport day in and day out. So it is all about that customer service. So that is part of the process. Another thing is being very attentive on the maintenance issues, as well as bringing in new residents and taking care of the residents that are there that are bad residents. Show that you're going to do something about that. If there is somebody, doing drugs, partying till, 1 a.m, previous management didn't do anything about that, you need to take care of that. That shows everybody respect. Those are difficult conversations, but that gives so much value to the residents that are there. And from then on, you just have this good roller coaster that continues. We also re-signage typically. We create a website. We take professional photos, put them out a lot on Zillow. But yeah, I mean, it's complicated and it's hard. I would say it's not complicated. If you have a system, it's hard, but it is really just based on people.
So, I mean, I can tell just by the way that you speak and the stories that you're telling. I mean, you're a true operator in this business. What led you down the road of starting a property management company? Because I know a lot of investors just don't want anything to do with that. And they're like, I'm just going to hire a third party and buy a nice property and let them manage everything.
So here's the deal. I was invested in the stock market. Lots of people are. And I had no idea what my money was doing. And I had no idea where my life was going because of that. Second, so that's the first reason, for control. Second reason is it's because it's really hard and uncomfortable. If you go towards the pain in this business, you will find success. If you go towards the areas that are difficult, you will find success. When people hear about real estate, get cash flow on this, I'm going to make, $5,000 a month, I'm going to replace my job. Sure, you may, but if you want to be truly successful and you want to do it quickly and you don't have millions of dollars in the bank, you need to run towards the pain. We are faster than others. We can refinance quicker than others, and we can provide better customer service because we care. And that is, I had the complete intention when I started this. I was running numbers with the money I had saved and the money I could save, like, I'm going to give this out to a third party. I'll be able to quit my job in 3 years, blah, blah, blah. I should say, I want to thank my partner, my other partner, Steven Sykes. He said, I think you should just try out property management and see what it looks like. And honestly, I really enjoyed it. And I also realized that there is a ton of money to be saved by doing property management. It's not about the money, but it's also about the quality. Like, for me, this is my life's work so far. Like, I have a lot of trouble putting, it to somebody else. We do have other third-party property managers, but I've gained that experience to know how to manage those individuals. So yeah, I think people are just scared to run towards the pain. Like, it's okay. It's hard work. Work hard. Get rewarded for it.
Are you struggling to understand how to underwrite multifamily properties? Hi, I'm John Stober, and I completely understand your problem. I thought underwriting would come naturally to me due to my background in finance and accounting, but I quickly found out that there aren't a lot of resources that cover this subject. I had no idea whether what I was doing was right, wrong, or just original. I don't want you to have to pick up little nuggets here and there like I did. So I wrote an ebook called How to Analyze Big Apartment Buildings and Make Them Feel Small that puts together all the pieces of the puzzle. We're also giving away a deal analyzer with the ebook, and they're both completely free. Don't wait as long as I did to start chasing financial freedom. Go to bit.ly/underwriting ebook and get your free copy today.
Could you talk a little more about some of those cost savings and the increase in quality that you're experiencing as a result of managing your own portfolio?
Yeah, so cost savings, I mean, just flat off the bat, you're doing the GC or whatever of your own projects. You're bringing your own contractors. You're able to outsource it and put pieces together. Next, you can hire your own maintenance people. So instead of spending a gazillion dollars an hour, which has a bunch of markup, et cetera, you can do that internally. So that in itself is cost savings. Now, we still use general contractors to do our projects. We do a lot of those, but the smaller stuff that we don't need licensed individuals, we're going to do ourselves. We're also going to be able to put things together, whereas a property management company typically is looking for the easiest option of all right, we've got XYZ, plumber 1, 2, 3, ABC. They charge $175 an hour. Cool, go out. I'm going to bill back $225. That's one of the biggest things. And I'm sorry, what was your next question besides cost savings?
Oh, well, you said that your quality is a lot better because you're managing it in-house.
Yeah, so I mean, you just care more. So I guess I could go through a laundry list of items, but I managed up to, I think it was 100 units by myself, where I was writing leases out of my truck. I answered every single phone call, did every text message. I was also working full time with 2 kids. So it was crazy. It was, I mean, I just worked all the time. I was up at 2 a.m. I checked my phone for missed calls, emails, etc. But just I cared. I mean, it was a ton of money I had into this, and there was a ton of opportunity. So I just cared. And now my people care because I care about them. So they care about the customers. And I'm not saying third parties don't. It's just different. If I've rarely, but I will take a call at midnight and get on a phone and talk to somebody for 30 minutes. Super rare. So people that are out there are scared of property management. It's typically not like that. But here's a good story. My daughter was born. She was 4 or 6 days old. I sat down on the couch. I was going to watch football. I said, I'm not moving from this couch for the next 4 hours. Sure enough, my phone rings. I also get a video at the same time. The first threeplex I bought was on fire. The water main bursted and the fire department was there. And I go over there. The electric company cut down a tree, which caused a fire, which caused the water main to burst. So I was out there in 30 minutes. I was like, okay, cool. This is what I got to do. But being attentive like that, I don't have to do that now, but I think it's important to have the willingness to do that now. Mm-hmm. And I answered the phone call. So I think that's where things, between personal ownership of your own property versus hiring a property management company. Property management companies, are probably tons that do a great job. but are they going to do as good as you with your asset? And not everybody's built to be a property manager, but I knew with kind of my background of retail and just like management experience that it was something that was a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you get to control the culture when it's your own company. I had a question for your deal you just did out in Kansas City. Are you building a property management team out there, or is that one of the ones you were third partying? And why?
So that one, no, that's a good question. So it's Colin Dothit with Atlas Property Management. He's managing it. I think I just liked his name, so I said it was good. But no, so we went down there and met him. Similar to me, same attributes. He's building up like a quality team and everything. There's really, unless I got really large down there, there's no reason for me to go down there in third-party property management. So property management is a necessity, but it's also like a means to an end. Like you're creating this culture and this system. If you can find somebody that's really good and on the same page, do that. Like if you can find somebody that's like passionate like me about it and they want a third-party property management, yeah, do that. Pay them 10%. Like that's what my partners do. That's why they bring me deals, because that's the passion. But it's not always there. So I don't have any need to or want to build a property management company down there, at least yet. But yeah, in good hands, I would say.
So what are some things you look for in a third-party property management? And also, how do you keep them under control?
So that is a good question. So we have two of our properties under third-party property management. One of them is the 87 unit that we have. It is managed by a very large company out in Omaha that manages a ton of properties. This is where partnerships are key because my partner, Chris Pomerleau, takes care of all of that. So I couldn't answer a lot on that. I view the reports and everything, getting weekly updates, asking questions, and constantly pushing what we're looking to do. But on the front end, you are going to state your expectations and have them provide you, give me your performance of what you think of this. Like, what are you going to do? And you're also looking at their track record. Now, this is a large company that has had a lot of success. So they fit in well, and this is a larger complex. So this was a good fit for that. The one down in Kansas City, it was based off a recommendation, went down, met them, and just a good fit. I mean, once again, it's a people business. You see how somebody speaks, you see how somebody looks through something. I mean, we walked through 52 units together. You see their team, you meet their team, you see their projections of what they're doing. That's huge. A lot, and I don't want to distract with like a lot of talk is enough, because a lot of talk's not enough, or a lot of like spreadsheets are not enough. But it's kind of a combination of them both, and just to make sure that they're also willing to devote time to you.
Is your day one takeover plan different if you're managing it versus a third party?
What do you mean by that? Like if I were Collin 3 years ago?
Well, I guess like when you go into these newer deals, are you giving them different guidelines because it's a third party team versus like what your guys can do? Like, are you giving them, I guess, a little bit more leeway because they're third party, or are you harder on them?
So being in property management, I know how hard it is. So I'm slightly more lenient, but what I'm trying to do is get more ideas, because we're now sharing ideas. I've got 50 ideas from the third party down in KC. I've got tons of ideas, which is helping my company. I'm trying to provide ideas because I'm speaking with the owner of the company. The owner of the company cares too. So I am lenient in a way because I know that's super hard. Like property management is hard, and repositioning a property is not an easy process. It is a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of variables. But I'm also expecting, I guess I am expecting a lot too. I'm expecting a lot in reporting. I'm expecting a lot in updates and constant communication, which is a little bit different than me and my partners, because we talk, daily, weekly, whatever. So they're getting updates. So my reporting to them may not be the same. It's more of like, you guys can pull up your online access. That's where it is. You guys can call me. But otherwise, I'm just sharing information constantly with them. So from a third party, I'm expecting some reporting and also just the financial transparency since we don't control the dollar. So I'd say that's the biggest thing.
So what reports are you getting from your property management company, and what are you looking for when you analyze those reports?
Biggest things is dollars. So you're looking at dollars coming in. There's a rent roll, and then there's actual cash received. So, vacancy versus economic vacancy, especially now more than ever, you're looking at economic vacancy. You're looking at that. You're also looking at so we get rent roll, P&L. P&L we'll dive into and we'll kind of go over and we'll ask questions. Typically we're getting asked about, larger cost items like an HVAC system. Hey, is this okay? This is our quote. Cool. Go ahead. We'll double check that for the P&L. For the rent roll, what we're looking at the vacancies. So we're going to look at our vacancies and we're going to see which ones are being remodeled or which ones are marketed. So I think that it becomes as simple as that. Like you start with the dollars at top. Okay. If I am 52 units and I'm 100% full, okay, what am I looking to get for my income? Okay, cool. I'm getting this. Okay. I see there is, some people haven't paid. Okay. So that accounts for that. What is being done with that? Are we reaching out to them or are we starting the eviction process? Then from there, the vacancies, are these rent ready? If they're not, are they being remodeled? If they are they marketed? So really those four things.
And then when you use a third-party management company, are you providing them with any of your own systems, for, let's say, leasing? Like if a tenant comes in to look at one of your units, are you telling the third-party management company, like, hey, your agents need to be up and like out shaking their hands with a smile on their face, or do you kind of just let them do their own thing?
I'm going to let them do their own thing. It's there's having some control and oversight, but I think it's if they're doing a bad job, then you just need to go to another one because that should be ingrained into their culture. So, and you'll see it through the results, but people want autonomy. People want to do their own things, and you want great people who do great things to be doing their own things and own processes.
So do you look for management teams that can handle renovations on their own, or do you look to contract the renovations out?
So is that from like my perspective? Or?
Yeah.
Yes. So, and are you saying for a third party or for my management company?
So I guess like when you're looking at a third party management team, do you like interview them to be, hey, can you handle this renovation? We need to turn 50% of the units, or you're like, hey, I just need you to watch over the GC as they go through this.
Yeah. We're asking all those questions.
Is there one you favor more than the other?
Everybody's going to probably use some type of subcontractor in some fashion. So they might have their own GC group. Lots of them do. They have their own GC group. So I think we will run through of like, hey, we will give them what is this total remodel going to look like and what's it going to cost? And then we'll get that bid back and kind of dissect it from there and just start from there and just set that as the expectation.
Yeah, I guess the reason I asked is because some people will go against that because they don't want, I guess, the management team to be too involved where they're like running the renovation project and managing the property. They like to separate the baskets a little.
Yeah, so lots of management companies have their own GC. So they're kind of still in their own bucket and they're still doing their own thing. So I don't know. I want my management company knowing because they're going to be the ones having to take the questions. Right. And the GC is going to be like, oh, that's okay. You told me to do that, and hands off. So you need them communicating. So I like them to be a little bit intertwined, preferably. They're going to take, obviously, that's where some property management companies make a lot of, additional capital or additional money. I mean, that's where they make a lot of money is from that, but that's fine. If they can do that, if they can have those systems moving smoothly, then it's well worth it.
So like you said earlier, we're in the midst of COVID-19 right now. Have you adjusted any of your systems and processes as a result of the pandemic?
Yes, a bit. So for all of our listings now, we are putting on YouTube links for video walkthroughs. We've had a lot of concern about that. Our agents, I shouldn't say my agents, Brad and Irvin, they're my core team. They'll go open up the property, make sure it's good, get it unlocked. They'll meet the resident there and say, hey, feel free to do a tour yourself. We're Lysoling off handles and everything like that, doing Lysol wipes, etc. Using masks as we're going through units, but that's kind of for the leasing process. We'll just let people go in. We're trying to provide more of that. So just kind of separate from that, because we know there was like some, obviously people are getting laid off, etc. We've instituted a couple things. If you pay rent on time, we are giving you a $50 grocery gift card. That's for 2 months. So that really helped in rent collections, I believe. Can't prove it. I don't know. It's probably a wash, or I would say it's closer to a loss for us for the amount that we paid out. We paid out about $8,000 in grocery gift cards. People are appreciative of it. It's customer service. It's hard time. So we did that. Any other processes that we've instituted. So we originally sent out an email just discussing like kind of what we're doing, how we're willing to help. If you're having financial issues, give us a call. See how we can work it out. So we're offering, and I'm stealing this from Brandon Turner from Bigger Pockets, and we've kind of added one other one. People who are way behind, we are, waiving all of our credit card fees. We pay for those credit card fees. It's not something that we're charging on. We get rid of credit card fees. We're willing to work with individuals. And as I said, we are also adding that, $50 grocery gift card. We just instituted, and I have not worked with it yet, and it should be set up in the next couple days or so, is Rhino security deposits. So I don't know if you've heard of that, but that's a different way. So basically people are paying insurance on their security deposit. So honestly, we're just trying to be people helping people. I mean, that's the end of the day. Our staff's wearing gloves and masks, and we are going out for maintenance issues as needed and as necessary. We are trying to minimize contact as much as possible. Some like doorknobs and stuff that we needed changed, or residents needed changed that had fallen off or broken, we drop them off and the resident's like, yeah, I can fix it myself. Cool. Go for that. Like, that's okay. So we're just trying to do some of those precautions. One of the big questions I have, which I'm not sure about, is, we have a pool at one of our properties, so we're going to service it, maintenance it, but do we open? Do we not open? So we're kind of in limbo on that. So yeah.
Have your renovations been put on pause with the 52 unit?
Nope. And we also have, just in Omaha, we have a 48 unit, a 23 unit, and a 24 units of townhomes that we're in process of remodeling now. So we have probably like 15 to 20 projects in Omaha in flight right now. In KC, it's, I think, closer to 4 to 6, I believe. I'm not sure, but yeah, in Omaha, we just got through about 40 that we had in flight.
Wow.
All right. Well, Collin, we're running up on time, so I wanted to get to the last section of our show that we call the Fast Five, which are the same 5 questions we ask every guest that comes on our show.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Question number 1. If you had to start all over again and you were in your early 20s, how would you do that?
Okay, so I'm 35 right now. I started when I'm 32, so I'm like at the very cusp of being a millennial, or at the very end. If I had to start over, I would have had somebody throw the book Rich Dad Poor Dad at me and say, read that book. Don't be an idiot. I would say that, my work experience that I did, because I've always worked 70, 80 hours a week, it's good. but you need to focus on yourself and read and self-develop and save. I would say do that. Obviously, invest in real estate. That's an easy thing to say right now. Understand leverage. So just educate yourself, man. Just go out and just do it. Reach out to people. There's so many resources out there, and don't think you need to be at the end right now. Be at the end in 30 years. Just start. Do something. Go write a letter to somebody where you want to buy a property. All of the last 100 and some units I bought, I've gotten paid to get into them. I've received checks at closing. So it's took a while, but just do that. Read a book. Like, go out. Just get some.
Dang, I'm jealous.
How do you see young professionals adding the most value to experienced operators in this space?
So this is great. So I am selling a fourplex on Friday to a buddy of mine who's 25 or 24. You guys want to interview him. His name's Logan Fast. Anyways, he reached out to me on Bigger Pockets a couple years ago. I ignored him. He kept reaching out. By the third time, I guess he got a hold of me or something. I don't know. It wasn't intentional. Anyways, he brought me a deal that was a duplex that we bought for 112. It appraised at 265. A year later, just a couple other things. Well, he's buying the fourplex from me. I picked it up for 160, put some money into it. He's buying it for 316, and he's putting like $5,000 down in cash, and then he's going to house hack this thing. So I'm getting a huge net. He's getting into it for very minimal, and I've done a ton of work to it. Like, reach out, and if somebody doesn't get back to you, get back to them. But please, please, please do not say, "Let me pick your brain." Just don't say that. Add value. Just say, "Hey, I've done this." Read some books first. Understand what a cap rate is. Understand the basic info and be willing to provide value.
Awesome.
Love it.
Question number 3. What's the biggest mistake you've made in your career, and how have you since adjusted your business?
Oh man, dude, bookkeeping and like setting up entities. That's just, I hate doing it. So I did what I could. I've spent a lot of money to fix them. I haven't fixed all my entities. My entities are fine. It's just, I created way too many of them. So I have like 25 bank accounts. It's just, I have 25 bank accounts. It's a mess. It's fine. I've got a system. But on the bookkeeping side, make sure you just get it right from the beginning, because it's expensive to fix up. So that's what I'm doing now. And I just pulled off that Band-Aid. It's fine. But I would say it's better to be ready, fire, aim, as long as you're doing everything ethically. That is one of the biggest keys. If you're being ethical and you make some honest mistakes, it's okay. None of these mistakes were like unable to undo. It was just a mess to go through.
What's been your favorite way to incorporate technology and social media into your business?
Zoom calls, honestly. So, these have been great lately. I think I'm the only meetup group in Omaha that's actually doing them. Nobody's wanting to do it. I love getting on podcasts. I'm big on Facebook and Instagram. So just getting out there, write a couple blog posts for Bigger Pockets, getting on Bigger Pockets. Those are great areas. We are about to dive into doing a lot more things. We're about to start a podcast. So yeah, just, taking it one day at a time.
You are a true millennial.
Thank you. But I don't know anything about Twitter. So that's how I'm not like that.
I don't have
that
Twitter.
To Trump. Yeah. Trump's got Twitter.
There you go. Baby boomers, maybe.
Yeah, right. It's the social media for boomers.
Yeah.
All right, last question. What book has been most influential to you on your journey? And if you say Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you have to give us another book.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. So the next one was Multifamily Millionaire or Millions by Dave Lindahl. That was really good. There's a ton others. And it just keeps going. Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. My gosh, that is a beautiful book. If you have not read it, read it. It is a great book.
Shoe Dog?
Shoe Dog by Phil Knight.
Mhm.
So another one I'm reading right now, it's by Peter Thiel. It's From Zero to One. And I think it's a really good book for when you start becoming an operator and start looking at your business and culture. I would recommend everybody listen to that. So I've got about 100 books that I've gone through in the past 3 years. So there's a lot.
Well, awesome. Collin, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the Millennials and Multifamily Podcast. If you'd like people to be able to reach out to you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
So reach out through Facebook. Once again, Collin Schwartz. Instagram, Bricktown Management is one of my companies, Park Ave Capital or parkavecapital.com. Reach out there. We're getting our website up. So just find me, call me, 402-204-5552.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. You've provided a tremendous amount of value, and we greatly appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks, I appreciate you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Millennials in Multifamily Podcast, brought to you by Kronos Investment Partners. If you enjoyed the show, please leave us a rating and a written review at iTunes so that we can connect with more people. Finally, head on over to kronosinvestmentpartners.com and sign up for our newsletter so you can stay updated on everything we're doing. If you're interested in partnering with us as we find new opportunities, you can also schedule a phone call with us under the Contact Us tab at kronosinvestmentpartners.com.